Live from our studios here at Kukumlemli, Accra, this is Joy News Prime. With me, Ernest Kojo Manu. We are live on DSTV, channel 421, GoTV 144. Now coming up in this bulletin, governing NPP demands an unqualified apology from the opposition NDC to the judiciary and the entire nation after its General Secretary revealed the party did not have evidence to back its presidential election petition in 2020.
He told us the system was strong and robust. However, after collating the results for 5 regions, the system crashed.
At the right time, say, let me challenge the track.
We have details plus the latest on the mudslinging that has characterized the NDC's reorganization process, with failed youth organizer aspirant Ernest Kojo Manu threatening to head to court.
Men pusumiti men bomeni and say NDC National Youth Elections. It is not over for me. It is not over for you.
Also in this package, utilities, food and fuel drags Ghana's consumer inflation rate to a new 27 high of 50.3% in November, up from the 40.4% the previous month. We have details plus analysis. Majority Chief Whip criticized GPRTU for maintaining transport fares at the current rates despite the reduction in fuel prices.
I'm not too happy when the price of the export price of this product are going down, and yet transport operators fail. I see my good friend the minister smiling. Transport operators don't pay a heed to this consistent reduction in the price of such products.
But the Transport Minister has jumped to the defense of the GPRTU.
For transport fares, Majority Chief Whip, yes, it is true that fuel prices are coming down, and they are coming down drastically. But, Mr. Speaker, in determining transport fare, there are 3 elements. Depreciation of our currency, which is also improving the cost of spare parts.
Hello again, many thanks for choosing us. Apologize to Ghanaians, the Supreme Court and the entire judiciary. That's the demand of the governing New Patriotic Party following revelations by the NDC General Secretary Johnson Asiedu Nketia that the party did not have evidence to back its 2020 presidential election petition. Former President John Dramani Mahama, who lost the 2020 polls, dragged the Electoral Commission to court, challenging the validity of the results and the declaration of President Akufo-Addo as winner. The court disagreed with him and dismissed the case. But today, it's emerged the aspiring chairman of the NDC agrees with the court. There's more in this News Text report.
John Mahama and the NDC argued that none of the candidates who contested the polls obtained more than 50% of the vote cast. They also alleged that the person said to have won the polls benefited from vote padding. The NDC further claimed that the candidate declared winner benefited from arithmetic and computational errors. They invited the court to annul the result of the polls and ordered the EC to organize a runoff between John Mahama and Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Let's take you back to time when Asiedu Nketia testified for the election petition brought to court by his party.
Now, in all the figures that were mentioned as the valid vote cast and all those things, you were saying if the figures were correct, and that there were inconsistencies in the figures, I want to ask you, now, in your own calculation, what were the total valid votes cast in the presidential elections on 7 December 2020? In your own calculations. My Lord, those calculations are reserved for a meeting for us to reconcile the figures, because the first respondent herself keeps changing the figures. And so it says, when you bring your perspective, look at your help the court. You see, when you you started giving evidence, you said you had all representatives across the 275 constituencies. You said you put agents to use it, yes, and they were to, collect the figures. You said it. Then he's asking you that from that, what figure did you get? You. My Lord, I haven't brought that figure to court.
But 2 years down the line, Johnson Asiedu Nketia says the party did not have evidence before heading to court.
I know that coalition, the system of the bar said, a robust and strong fire coalition. You collect 5 regions now, or say a crashing.
He told us the system was strong and robust. However, after collating the results for 5 regions, the system crashed.
At the right time, said, let me challenge the track. And so,
that was why we didn't have the results at the right time to challenge the Electoral Commission's results.
That's not all. He also accused the Vice President, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, of influencing Osei Kwame Griffith, the NDC's Director of IT, to interfere with the coalition system that the party set up for the 2020 presidential and parliamentary elections.
And then, we said we wanted to collate the figures manually, together with a team of university students. Griffiths again failed to do a good job.
Or you're prepared to resign as our national chair.
Ofosu Ampofo said he was ready to step down as leader of the party if you don't appoint Griffiths as the director of IT.
You're appointing director of IT. Griffiths no. Or no Akamba himself. Griffiths ne Bawumia.
Akamba during the meeting mentioned that the person to be appointed as the director of IT has some underhand dealings with Vice President Bawumia, and that the party has to be extremely careful in handing over its election collation mission to him.
And the NDC elections has been characterized by a lot of mudslinging. There's more trouble for the party because Broja Jemfi, a former Ashanti youth organizer of the party who lost the last election over the weekend, has threatened to go to court to challenge the results of that particular elections, which was held in Cape Coast. He spoke on Ekosi saying on Asempa FM.
Main pusumiti main bomani and say NDC National Youth Elections. It is not over for me. It is not over for you. No. National Youth Elections. Yes. You see, I'm somebody obia oni meno. Me call electioner. I accept the verdict. I accept the outcome. But not when there are clear manipulations. I will not let that pass. At least for posterity. And for future elections of the party, this thing must not let go. Otherwise, incumbents will play these tactics and use it to continue to be in office. Whether it's 1 vote difference or 2 votes difference, they don't really care. You get it? And then these are the same people like Blibo elections, Eastern regional elections,
through a court order.
Through a court order.
In the meaning, say you follow the same path. Also, court.
As for that one, I will confirm to you.
You are going to court.
Yes, I will seek legal redress.
And the legal redress would be to injunct, first of all, the swearing in of the National Youth Organizer elect, right?
I think I'm a lawyers until.
Now, let's do some other stories, political stories. President Akufo-Addo has rallied African leaders to walk the talk they've made over the decades to transition the continent to greater heights. He's called on his colleague presidents to change the age-old colonial mentality by putting an end to the era of begging in order to earn respect among the Western counterparts. He made a call during the opening session of the U.S. African Leaders Summit in Washington, D.C.
I hear a lot about the need to change our narrative and tell our own good story. Ladies and gentlemen, as the saying goes, nothing succeeds like success. If we work at it, if we stop being beggars and spend Africa's monies inside the continent Africa would not need to ask for respect from anyone. We would get the respect we deserve. Over 30 years ago, one of America's most prestigious Ivy League universities offered a course in Mandarin, which for years had virtually no takers. Today, there is standing room only. And it is not because the course is any easier. It is because the position of China has changed. 30 years ago, 20 years ago, China was nowhere near where it is today. China does not ask for anyone for respect now. She does not need it. Let us make our continent the prosperous and joyful place it should be, and the respect would follow. I thank you for your attention.
Now, the interesting thing is that the president's call comes amidst a time frantic efforts attempts being made by his administration to secure an IMF bailout. The minority in parliament has been reacting to this call by the president, describing him as a joke. They've made their own call on the president to end the rhetoric and work towards saving the country's ailing economy.
Actually, I don't understand the president himself. When you even look at our budget now, the donor support is about 60 billion Ghana cedis to support our budget. So if you stop, borrowing or stop begging, what does it mean? I don't see any more rights that he has to go and say all those things. And look, most of the programs that we are running, they're all donor support. So I don't understand him. He should come again.
No, how can we be going to IMF and be talking about not begging? That's begging. Going to IMF is part of the begging.
Someone would say it's a loan, you pay back, although the terms are a bit low.
Listen, semantics is not my forte. I think that it's better that I speak truth to power and hope that they hear me. As a citizen, I am saying that from as long as I can remember, and I've been around quite a bit, and I know that I've heard His Excellency President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo on many platforms before he became President of the Republic of Ghana. And I know exactly the kinds of things that he said that brought him into power. It's time for him to act it out. He's done 6 years, he has 2 more years to redeem himself.
I can only say the president is a joker. He is a joker. If the president can be, urging African leaders to stop begging, what is he doing? Is he begging as well or not? He is the biggest beggar in this enterprise. And so if he will be engaging in this act and later telling people, African heads, to stop begging, why he, since day one that he was sworn in as a president, he started begging up to today and still begging IMF to come to our aid. And you are telling people to heads of state to stop begging. Is he not a joker? A right-thinking member who adhere to his advice.
So those are MPs reacting there to the president's call. Let's go to Zoom now. We are joined by political science lecturer Dr. Amakye Boateng with the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Thank you very much, sir, for your time here on Joy News Prime. Let me start with the NDC. They have had a lot of issues, a lot of mudslinging that has characterized their reorganization process, accusations and counter-accusations. For a party in opposition seeking to capture political power come 2024, would you say this is something that would affect their chances? Dr. Amakye Boateng, you have to unmute for us.
Yeah, let me say thanks for the opportunity.
Great.
Let me say good evening to your cherished viewers and listeners. I don't think that what is happening currently in the NDC is going to affect their chances, actually. Let me right away say that politics everywhere is underlined primarily by bread and butter issues. Politics and economics move hand in hand. People are voted into political office to work hard, to salvage their economies, to bring improvement in the conditions of life of their citizens. that is to bring development into their countries. Politics at the same time, when it comes to elections, it has got to do with competition, hot competition for political power. And it has almost always been the case. Generally, with politics, whose politics are naturally conflictual. And Kenyan politics is really conflictual. It has been so from independence to date. Interestingly, politics in some developed jurisdictions tend to be conflictual. That of US, UK, their politics are conflictual. So the hot contest and the accusations and counter-accusations that we see in the NDC today, happens in those politics I've mentioned. In the United States, Donald Trump is still up there and simply attacking people who try who show any sign that they're going to contest him. In UK, they attack one another. So I don't think it's going to have anything to do with the fortunes of the NDC. Economic issues are going to decide on who will lead Ghana, after the elections in 2024.
And so going forward, what do you think the party should do in order to close its ranks? Even though this may not have a telling effect, a huge effect on their chances, they definitely need a united front to go into that election and secure the victory that they so desire. How should they approach this?
You see that the party's leadership are observing things, and I like to believe that if they see, I've said this before, if they observe that things are getting out of hand, they'll definitely come in and rein everybody in. But I like to believe that going forward, they are all going to be temperate. There's a need to really bring the soft side of your opponents and to let the delegates know that candidate A or B should not be allowed to lead the party going into the next election for stated reasons. But that notwithstanding, it shouldn't be said that, will really affect, the whole party generally,
right.
Affect the internal, democratic politics. So I think going forward, the leadership, will be alert and will rein everybody in. If anybody, goes overboard, crosses the red line, I think they are going to bring the person in. Otherwise, what I see currently is normal politics. It is very hot, but so far as possible, I think it is normal politics.
Right. Let me take your thoughts on what the president has been saying in Washington, D.C., calling on African leaders to stop begging in order to put them in the place that will attract or, demand respect from the Western nations. Some have said the mere fact that we are in desperate need of an IMF bailout puts him in the position of a certain lack of moral authority to make the call that he's made. You agree with that?
This is an interesting, issue, simply because the international political system is such that states are in hot competition, with one another to really have the edge over others. And it has been argued that the developed countries are so developed because they have succeeded in keeping some countries underdeveloped. And they put in everything in place to ensure that the underdeveloped countries remain where they are. If you take a look at Southeast Asia, they've done so well for themselves. Their leaders kept quiet. They rather acted. They went ahead to implement what they wanted to implement. I do recall in the literature a statement by the governor of the Central Bank of South Korea some time ago in the 60s, Governor Park. They decided to defy, advice from the West concerning what South Korea had comparative advantage in and what they don't have in. And Governor Park says that whatever it is that they set themselves up to do, they did it and succeeded. And critically, they managed to go through the tight industry of the automobile. Your vehicles will not be accepted, as having come of age and should be allowed to, if you like, enter the lucrative automobile market. So they do everything to keep countries divided. But then those states who know what to do. And what they did, including Malaysia, Mahathir Mohamad only started to talk at the tail end of his leadership in Malaysia. So, and that has been the problem of African leaders, especially here in Ghana. Kwame Nkrumah's challenge, came out of, let me put it bluntly, his big mouth. Nkrumah's challenge came out of his big mouth. I've read that when he published his book, Neocolonialism, the Last Stage of Imperialism, that was when the powers that be consciously decided to undermine you. So you don't talk, you don't write what you shouldn't write. Do what you plan to do. This statement out there is not helpful.
Right. Thank you very much for your thoughts there, Dr. Amakye Boateng, political science lecturer at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. And some of you have been reacting to this on social media. Let me bring you some of your comments, both on Facebook and Twitter. And so we put up the story, and a lot of you have been commenting. Let me read this very first one from Eja Anama. It says, my African-American friend just showed me this piece and thinks Akufo-Addo is a great leader for not begging the West. Then, I started laughing. He asks why, and I'm laughing, but I'm still laughing. And with laughing emojis there. Yusuf says, Chief Beggar is urging junior beggars to desist from begging. In the voice of junior beggars, he should return the IMF money before we'll take him serious. And Capito says, guys, don't be surprised. Critical obsessed the person will assess, I think you want to say, saying that very well you could see there's something wrong with somewhere. Okay, so I'm not quite clear with what the message you're trying to put out. And Lava says, the biggest beggar is asking the smaller beggar not to. At times, the actions and activities of our leaders will make you think they are not mentally stable. Well, that's too harsh. AJ Will says, what an irony. Wow, anything is possible in this country. I mean, how can he even say that when the government is begging for money from the IMF? Perry says, by a man who's just begged IMF to come take over the management of the Ghanaian economy he was entrusted to manage. So some of your views there are also on Twitter. You can go there and share your thoughts on the president's call. Now, it is the final countdown to the NDC's national elections this weekend. And with Isiedin Ketia, the incumbent general secretary, seeking a higher office, others are stepping in to replace him. One of them is the former sports minister, Elvis Ifeanyi, who is facing tough contests against two key formidable contenders. In today's build-up, Samuel Mbura focuses on his chances.
His opponents will attack his record as sports minister. Elvis Ifeanyi famously cried before the committee that probed the Black Stars' shambolic and scandal-filled participation at the 2014 World Cup that has done little though to quench his passion for NDC internal political leadership. He showed his mettle as NDC Election 2020 Director of Elections, giving the Electoral Commission little rest.
And we are telling them that Ghana is not other countries. If they think that they can be manipulated and influenced as happened in other countries to manipulate the electoral system, then they should be ready for what is coming.
He is popularly remembered in the 2020 elections for his infamous announcement that the NDC was flipping some parliamentary seats at a time the EC was still collating results.
Preliminary results trickling in shows a very exciting outlook. We have flipped Lejokuku. We have flipped La Dadekotopon. We have flipped Tema East. We have flipped Adenta. 99% of these are not skirt and blouse votes, so it reflects in the presidential. So if we flip all these seats, nobody should tell you where we are heading towards. It's very clear. Parliamentary candidates, executives, regional constituency party executives go to the coalition centers and support our coalition agents.
He was, however, shocked after the declaration of results by the EC.
Me as director of elections,
we were three of us monitoring the results. Myself, Sami Jenfi, and Samuel Ofosu Ampofo, our national chairman, we saw the manipulation coming in. We were really shocked. It even made me to fall sick. To his critics who accuse him of supervising a shambolic NDC internal election results coalition, this is his response to you.
We had our results, and the flag bearer and the entire leadership were briefed. Beyond that, results were collated from constituencies. If we didn't collate results, how then could we know that we had 137 seats? So anybody at our level who says that results were not collated is either very ignorant, should not come near leadership, or is full of mischief, because you should know.
But why does Elvis Efria Ankra really want to be the general secretary of the NDC?
I'm ready for this job. I've been prepared for it. I've gone through the mill. And so I'm the best person for the job of General Secretary to help position the party properly for the battle in 2024 and the victory of 2024.
Elvis Efria Ankra will come up against formidable opponents in Dr. Peter Boama Otokono and Fifi Kweti. This week, your election headquarters will examine his other contenders who are determined to give him a run for his money, because it is going to be a tough contest. For Joy News, Samuel Mbura.
And Ghana's inflation rate has skyrocketed about 50%, with utilities, food and fuel being key drivers. My colleague Isaac Kofi has been studying the latest figures and reports released by the Statistical Service. He joins me in the studio with a breakdown. And Kofi, this is an all-time high, 50.2?
50.3%.
0.3%. What is influencing this? What are the drivers?
So actually, the last time we had a similar inflation was 1995, when inflation was somewhere around, I think, 56.8%.
Right.
Key drivers, you know, we have the usual.
That's 27 years ago.
Absolutely, almost 3 decades. So key drivers, we have the usual suspects. Diesel is still topping with an inflation rate more than 120%. We have about 13 items in the top 20 list. All of them have an inflation rate above 100%.
Right.
And we spoke about ladies' underwear, you know, in October.
How is that a driver?
It's still featuring in the top 20
okay.
drivers. This time around, the inflation has moved from the 86% we saw, you know, when we saw in October last year, now to you know, more than 100%. Now today we want to, you know, veer away from the usual figures and then do some analysis on the effect of this inflation on your salary. So let's start with September 2022 and September 2021. Let's say you were earning, you know, 3,000 cedis September 2021. And as of September 2022, inflation was around 37.2%.
Okay.
Your 3,000 cedis in September, just because of inflation, was 1,888. The value you lost was 1,116.
Wow.
And if you look at those who were earning close to 5,000 cedis, this was September. September 2022, you moved from 5,000 cedis now to 3,170. Value lost is 1,830. If you are lucky and you are earning 1,000 cedis a month,
10,000?
Sorry, 10,000 cedis a month. That's last year, September.
Okay.
Now it's 6,000.
So like Kojo Brace and Latif Idris.
Absolutely. And then, you know, Loretta and Co. are earning 10,000 cedis.
Right.
Now, in September, the value of their salary was
worth 6,000.
260. They lost 3,700. Now inflation.
So you can understand, Kofi, why labor is demanding that
60%
rise
raise in their base pay. Now I think they've reduced
because really the worth of your salary is almost half.
Now,
I mean, you've lost half of it.
Let's do it with the 50%. Can we have the 50% on the screen? We did for 37.2%. Now let's do for the 50%.
Right. So this. Okay.
So 3,000 cedis. If you're earning 3,000 cedis last year, November 2021, that 3,000 cedis is now 1,491. You've lost more than half, 1,508 and 9, cedis. If you're earning 4,000, 1,998, 88 is now the value. You've lost 2,012 of the value And the lucky people that we mentioned who were earning, 10,000 cedis, now the value of 10,000 cedis, a year ago is now 4,970. Value loss is more than 50%, 5,030. So we are asking you to check the health of your salary before you start spending, this 25th December or this festive season.
You really need to do a lot of calculations and make sure that you're spending right.
Absolutely, but Ernest, if inflation is acting as an invincible tax, I am not sure. We were asked to pay, e-levy of 1.75. We were complaining. So if inflation is acting as a tax, do you know the rate? 50.3% now. That's the biggest tax component we can ever find on goods and services at the moment. It's invincible. You are not seeing it, but you're paying.
The only good thing happening to us right now is that the cedi seems to be gaining some strength. Fuel prices marginally have reduced. And so that sort of puts some grim on our faces, but we're hoping that we're able to consolidate these gains.
People are actually in a rush. They want to see the change you're seeing on the dashboards in their real lives. They want to see price of goods and services also going up. So if you tell someone that cedi has moved from 14 cedis, 80 pesos now to 10 cedis, I think when I was coming, it's now 10 cedis, 17 pesos. They want to go to the bread seller, they want to buy bread, and they
see that reflect.
Exactly, that 10 cedis has dropped to, let's say, 6 cedis or 7 cedis.
But that will take some time.
Absolutely.
Kofi, thank you very much for always helping us understand the figures. Let's now go to the phone lines and speak to Foster Ajao, who is head of price statistics at the Ghana Statistical Service. Mr. Ajao, at the start of the year, did we project inflation to ever get this high?
Good evening, my brother. If I heard you correctly, you were trying to ask whether we were expecting inflation to be high at this time. Is that it? Hello?
Yes, that is the question I'm asking.
Yes. Unfortunately, no. I mean, we were not expecting this. It came really as a surprise. But on the second, we didn't say a surprise as much because we were all witnesses to occurrences that happened in the month of November. So, yes, we didn't expect it to go down high, but of course, we expected some appreciable increases in the figures.
As I'm learning from my producers right now, the end of year target was 28%, plus or minus 2. What is the target? I mean, right now we are talking about over 50. What are we hoping to end the year with right now?
Well, personally, I don't expect to see any other huge increases in the rate, for the month of December, because I think the month of November was really the turbulent month. And so even though there may be increases, in the rate, but I don't expect it to be that huge in the month of December.
Right. And going into next year, what is your projection? Seeing that we're seeing some marginal, reduction in the price of fuel, which is also a critical factor as far as the drivers are concerned. What is the Statistical Service projecting for inflation as far as 2023 is concerned? We are going to the IMF as well. The cedi is gaining some strength. Should we expect inflation to begin to slow down or actually improve?
In fact, with the occurrences now, I am very optimistic that, beginning the year, probably getting towards the end of the first quarter, we should see very good development at the inflation front. Because as you rightly said, we are seeing some stability, maybe not appreciation at the currency front, and that's good enough. We are seeing fuel prices being stable, but even coming down. Right. We are picking some prices that even this week there may be some reduction. I think what is left now is the behavioral point. Behavioral means we, the sellers, we need to also respond to the development in the forest front and the reduction in the fuel prices. And when we're able to do that, then certainly before the first quarter of next year, we should probably be out of these huge numbers that we have now.
Mr. Ajao, thank you for your time. He's the head of price at the Ghana Statistical Service. You're watching Joy News Prime with me, Ernest Manu. Still to come, Majority Chief Whip criticizes GPRTU for maintaining transport fares at the current rate despite a reduction in fuel prices.
I'm not too happy when the export price of this product are going down, and yet transport operators fail. I see my good friend, the minister, smiling. Transport operators don't pay a heed to this consistent reduction in the price of such products.
Thanks for staying with us here on Joy News Prime. Let me now take you to Parliament. Minister for Transport Kojo Manu has defended the GPRTU for maintaining the current transport fares despite fuel prices going down over the last few days. There's pressure on private commercial transport operators to reduce fares, but the minister says some other factors are at play. Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kweku Asante has more.
Majority Chief Whip Frank Anodompre criticized commercial transport operators who are quick to increase transport fares when fuel prices go up, but fail to do same when prices drop.
We've often lamented about the skyrocketing price of petrol, diesel in this country. And Speaker, I must commend the government. In recent times, we read and we see consistent reduction in the export price of these products. And it's gratifying that the dollar is also struggling to contain the strength of the cedi. These are all good times. However, I am not too happy when the export price of this product are going down, and yet transport operators fail. I see my good friend, the minister, smiling. Transport operators don't pay a heed to this consistent reduction in the price of such product. I think going forward, we must have an arrangement to deal with this concern.
Transport Minister Kojo Manu meanwhile argued that there are some other factors at play, but said his ministry is in touch with the transport operators and some reduction may be in the offing.
For transport fares, Majority Chief Whip, yes, it is true that fuel prices are coming down, and they are coming down drastically. But Mr. Speaker, in determining transport fare, there are three elements. Depreciation of our currency, which is also improving, the cost of spare parts, and cost of fuel. And if all the three factors must give an average of 10% increment of reduction before we can do so. But indeed, we have sat down with the transport operators, we are doing our final meeting. We need to go through some processes to make sure that the market survey that is done justify the decision that we are going to take. We've gone through the processes. We are meeting again tomorrow to come, but I can assure them, the Majority Chief Whip, that definitely the transport operators will do something about it.
Now, the Health and Education Directorate in the Ibrahim North District of the Eastern Region have received a donation from the Ntiama Foundation to boost education and health in the district.
The Ntiama Foundation has presented e-learning materials such as digital television sets, pen drives and boxes of learning materials to the education sector in the said district, and also donated 7 sets of desktop computers and UPS to 7 chips compounds in the area at a total cost of 105,000 Ghana cedis. Speaking to Joy News, Shiva Banahini urged the Education and Health Directorate to take advantage of the items and use it for the intended purposes.
These items are going to chips compounds, 7 chips compounds on Ntiama Foundation's support for chips program, and then early childhood support program. Under the early childhood support program, we have 5 schools that we've selected this year to benefit from it. So we donated e-learning materials and the learning materials, specifically TV sets, 11 Samsung 32-inch TV sets, and pen drives loaded with kids programs. These items are to also go are to support the improvement of healthcare in the area. Specifically, there is this thing that the Ghana Health Service has introduced. It is the Ghana Integrated Logistic Information System. We want the chiefs to take advantage of it. At the moment, they are not being able to access it because they lack the needed equipment. We also want them to be able to take advantage of a National Health Insurance Authority's claimant policy, as well as to also ensure proper records keeping.
Receiving the items, the District Health Director, Stella, also thanked the Ntiamwa Foundation for such a wonderful donation to the CHIPS compound and promised that the devices will be used purposefully and appeal to other NGOs to help Brim North Health Directorate.
To the Ntiamwa Foundation for such a wonderful donation that they've made to the directorate. Indeed, it's going to support us in our data management, managing our government, that's the stores management, managing our claims, that insurance claims that we've been working on, and budgeting and all other softwares that we are using. These machines are going to support us a lot. We appeal to other NGOs to also emulate these gestures so that they come to support us and all other philanthropists. We are Olivers. Oliver will always ask for more. We need more of such support. So please do come and support us so that we also render the necessary health care that we are supposed to render to the entire country.
For the education sector, Emmanuel Atipo received on behalf of the District Education Director, Charles Echampong, and thanked the Ntiamwa Foundation because it has come at the right time and will help teaching and learning at the kindergarten level. He added that the education sector in the area lacks teaching and learning resources, and this will go a long way to help teaching and learning in the district, and therefore took advantage to call for help for the Brim North District.
There are worthy teacher-learner resources for the KG. We need these items to enhance teaching and learning at the KG level. You know, at the KG level, the children use play activities to enhance their knowledge about their very surrounding. So these items would enhance that attempt at making the children appreciate materials around their surrounding, as well as appreciate what goes on in the further environment in terms of other children, the use of teaching learner resources that other children in certain jurisdictions use. We have the television sets, and that's what will enhance their interest in play activities. There were complaints about the shortage of teacher learner resources. We have them, but we don't have them in the numbers that we would want to have. We appreciate that we have teacher learner resources which are inadequate for the use of, especially at the KG level at our various schools.